Well, hi there, everybody. It's 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. Welcome to our extended coverage of our KOMO weather-worn night because of the potential for severe thunderstorms to break out here. A very unusual dynamic situation here in our part of the country. So with these developing, and they will continue to bubble up and move on throughout the course of the evening, they have the potential to become actual severe thunderstorms. We have had some really high cumulonimbus clouds, especially over the Olympic Peninsula, extending 30,000 feet in the atmosphere. So they have the potential to pull all of the hailstones way up into the upper atmosphere, really coat them with ice before dropping them back down to the ground. Some of the hailstones, as we'll talk about, over Hurricane Ridge and over the Olympic rainforest have been recorded in the neighborhood of about an inch in diameter, putting them in that severe thunderstorm category. So it's the potential for that very large hail that we really don't often see around here that has gotten the attention of meteorologists all around the country, frankly, today. Also, the chance for downburst winds beneath the base of these thunderstorms, blowing 40 to 60 miles per hour. Would be isolated gusts, but still potentially in the cards tonight. And there's that outside risk of a tornado or two as well through western Washington and western Oregon. Just a very slim chance for that, but it's potentially in the works as well. Lightning, it's a given. We always get lightning with our spring thunderstorms, but we have seen hundreds, if not by now thousands of strikes here throughout western Oregon and western Washington tonight. So again, a pink shaded zone here, indicative of how concerned the National Weather Service is about our scenario. We got the attention a couple of days ago from the Weather Service's Severe Storm Prediction Center because we look like we'd be the most active corner of the country today, and so far we have been. The pink shaded area, including King County, is for that severe thunderstorm watch, which will extend until 9 p.m. But the thunderstorms will continue to bubble up and track to the north from there on out toward the Canadian border as we head toward midnight. So look at them coming in. Look at the lightning. It's just been flashing for the last several hours, pushing through western Oregon and ultimately into western Washington as we hit the evening commute. You can see this is the main line of thunderstorms extending from the Strait of Juan de Fuca and now back along the Pierce County and King County line. So we'll zoom in for a closer look there toward the Strait, where the thunderstorms have just lifted past Nia Bay, Lake Crescent, back toward Port Angeles and Port Townsend. You can see it looks like probably dozens, if not over 100 strikes from this line alone in the last 30 minutes or so. And some of the precipitation rates recorded as these thunderstorms rolled by in excess of 5 inches an hour. That's just telling you there's a lot of hail in there because it's coming down at such a fast and furious pace. The other spot that is turning potentially severe is the backside of this line, now marching right into the metro area and extending from Eatonville and Carbonado through Buckley and Black Diamond, that lightning all the way back toward downtown Tacoma at this point. The heavier cell, look at that, right around Point Defiance and into Commencement Bay, coming right across the water there. Precipitation rates 2 to 3 inches an hour, so very heavy downpours and likely a lot of hail there as that has just passed the Narrows Bridge and is starting to work its way back toward Vashon and Maury Islands. The rain just starting to make its way into Seattle, but in terms of the heavier precipitation and the hail, that's looking like it's still to come here as we approach 7:15 at the Boeing Field area and about 7:30 downtown in the Emerald City. Hour by hour forecast here showing that we hang on to the chance for thunderstorms throughout the hour, at least over downtown Seattle, and then they are going to start to ring out. We really see a lot of this energy as it pushes by, moving to the north. We will see leftover scattered showers, if not some stray thunderstorms in the works through King and Kitsap counties throughout the course of the night, including past midnight. But the bulk of the heavy action is going to be here over Seattle within the next hour or two. Meanwhile, we have meteorologist Stella Sun in the KOMO 4 Weather Center to give us the latest on how this storm is progressing. How's it going, Stella?
Hey, Shannon, yeah, we've been warning you guys about the risk for some possible severe thunderstorms. Let's talk about the risk of the thunderstorms. So, and all of that green that you see here, basically the entire state of Washington, the Storm Prediction Center out of Oklahoma has given us that chance for a thunderstorm. Where things get a little bit dicey is in areas of yellow. So this is where we're entering into a slight risk. So you can see from Everett down towards the Chehalis Valley, this is where we could see the chance for some severe thunderstorms. So this will run now until about bedtime. So what this means is we could be seeing abundant lightning, as Shannon has been telling you all evening long, and we've been tracking that for you. Wind gusts upwards of 40 to 60 miles per hour because of some of these thunderstorms. And what would make this thunderstorm a cell that could be severe or fall under the severe category especially, is when the hail is an inch or greater. So there is a chance for that in the shade of yellow that you see here, as well as a low chance for a tornado, but the odds of that is really low. So where we could be seeing that potential for hail, so in areas of yellow here, this is where we could be seeing quarter to golf ball size hail. So this is about a 15% to 29% risk of some of the larger hail. And in the areas that you see brown here, so the Olympic Peninsula, up towards Bellingham, Mount Vernon, and through portions of Stevens Pass there is where we could also see the potential for some hail that could be an inch or greater there. And those chances are anywhere from 9 to 14%. Shannon's been tracking this for you, but we have already seen hailstones that are just as large, just under an inch in size. This is over towards the Olympic Mountains, and areas of purple is where we're seeing some of the larger portions of hail here. Zooming on out and showing you Doppler radar right now, where we're seeing all of that abundant lightning. Right now it's pushing its way towards Vancouver Island. It's falling over the strait right now, all of the bolts of lightning. You're probably hearing the loud pitter-pattering on your rooftops. We're also tracking a lot of the thunderstorm action over towards portions of Pierce County. She's showing you right now where it looks like a lot of the thunderstorms have now pushed its way over towards the BC area. So we're still seeing a plenty of energy that is pushing through portions of Pierce County through Tacoma. Areas of yellows where we're seeing some of the moderate to heavy downpours of that rain there along the I-5 corridor. Looks like from the Fife area up towards Federal Way, just south of Federal Way, is where we're seeing some of the heavier, steady downpours of rain. So timing out some of the rain that we are expecting, tracking this storm for you, it looks like towards 7:15, that's when we're going to start to see the storm energy passing through Seattle, working its way up towards shoreline and north of there as we hit that 7:20 hour. If we do get any of these severe thunderstorms rolling through, you want to stay safe in a hailstorm. So that means you want to stay indoors as much as possible, and especially away from any windows. If you can park your car in a garage or even in a covered area, now is the time to do it. And maybe if you don't have a garage or a parked area, you can certainly grab some towels, blankets, and even some doormats there. The timeline of the storm right now, it looks like through about 8 p.m. This is when we're going to start to see the storm energy pushing to about the shoreline area, and then 8 p.m. onward as you're getting ready to hit the hay. If you live in Everett, Mount Vernon, up towards Bellingham, we're going to start to see the storms lose its energy as we approach the 9 to 10 p.m. hour. You can see here on satellite radar this big area of low pressure, and of course all of the storms that are pushing its way. It's not uncommon to see storms in the Pacific here, but typically we would see it moving from west to east, and we often get a lot of the rain shadow. But what's different is the leading edge of this low pressure system. It is fueling all of that moisture up towards the I-5 corridor, through the Oregon area, up towards Seattle. We've got all of that warm air towards the surface and cooler air aloft. Walking you through that futurecast right now, the timing through the Olympic Peninsula, that 8 p.m. hour, knocking on our door here in Seattle, Federal Way, Kent, pushing its way up north towards about 9:30. This is where we're going to start to see a lot of the thunderstorms pushing its way towards portions of Snohomish, Skagit, as well as Whatcom County there. And a lot of these storms are going to continue to lose its energy as we work along through the evening hours. We could still see an overnight thunderstorm here or there, but for the most part, a lot of the action will be happening through about that midnight hour. We're going to continue to track this and look at some of the hailstones that have been reported. And of course, Shannon's got more coverage on the forecast there.
Well, hi there, everybody, and welcome back. We are looking at the big thunderstorms now rolling into Puget Sound on this KOMO weather-worn day. You can see how dark and ominous it's looking. We are looking from the Columbia Tower in downtown Seattle back over the First Hill neighborhood and Rainier Beach, and you can see how murky and ominous the skies have become, a sign of the thunderstorms now rolling in to the heart of King County. Welcome back, everybody. We are talking about a day of unstable weather, and you could tell it was coming. We had various signs. We had the pouchy modest clouds starting to show on up, and you can see the big thunderheads here over the Cascades as photographed today by Bobby Cantillet. When these thunderstorms grow like this, they hit the upper level part of the atmosphere, and the winds up there are so strong and so fast that they do start to blow the tops of the clouds there in the direction of the winds. And you can see that creates an anvil and is pushing out over the upper part of the atmosphere, probably 20,000 feet up at that point earlier today, a sign that things were unstable and the thunderstorms were going to start to grow. So beautiful picture there sent in by Bobby. Again, the chance for severe thunderstorms is still possible for the next couple of hours. As we spoke about, the severe thunderstorm watch for King, Pierce, Thurston counties and beyond toward the Oregon state line continues through the 9 p.m. hour and then will be allowed to expire. What qualifies a storm as being severe is the fact that it can produce such large hail. As we've spoken about, we have seen some hailstones today, upwards of about an inch over the Olympic Peninsula, according to the hailstone detection software there near Hurricane Ridge. And so that would qualify, if it gets in that neighborhood, as being a severe thunderstorm. Also, some locally gusty winds beneath the thunderstorms. The convection there, as the downbursts spill out, they can be in excess of 40 to 60 miles per hour. Certainly seeing loads of lightning, which happens anytime by definition that you get a thunderstorm in the first place. And we do still have a very slim chance of a tornado through the course of the evening. So again, looking out over downtown Seattle, it's starting to look a little darker, isn't it? Finally seeing these thunderstorms right on schedule, by the way, because they were progged to come on in here by about the 7 p.m. hour with the model runs yesterday. It's coming in according to plan, so nice to see that happening. You can see the tail end of the commute is still underway over the Ship Canal. The dark clouds are behind us over the Emerald City, downtown there with the Space Needle and the Columbia Tower, and about to get pretty damp out there for the evening commute. It's cooling down as well. SeaTac Airport, you're not seeing the thunderstorms yet, still with mainly cloudy skies and 59 degrees. Winds are starting to pick up. It is good and humid out there, humidity up to 80% plus, and that really is what triggered the thunderstorms and the worry about the chance for severe weather in the first place. The fact that it has been so warm the last couple of days, with the record highs yesterday with mid-70s around here, and today, especially near Oregon, just as warm, if not warmer. Well, here's the progression of the thunderstorms continuing to punch on into western Washington. You can see how that really strong batch that dropped the near quarter-sized hail over the Olympic Peninsula continues to push across the border, past the 101 corridor and in toward Vancouver Island. It looks like Victoria and Nanaimo are up next for some of the heavy showers. Lightning right now flashing around the bay there in downtown Victoria, so that's got to be quite a sight. Look at the fresh lightning strikes there getting detected all the way up the southern coast of the island there on its way into BC. Again, this is the line of heavy showers and thunderstorms that was able to drop very severe hail over the top of the Olympic Peninsula there, over the top of the Olympic Mountains just about a half an hour ago. Zooming on down to the metro area, of course, we are talking about these thunderstorms continuing to roll from Pierce into King County over the next hour or so. Very large cells here at the base of the Cascades. You can see all that lightning just lighting up the sky out of Enumclaw, Carbonado, Black Diamond, and into downtown Tacoma, too. Was one of the reasons we talked about maybe postponing the sporting events tonight for the student athletes. It's spring. We've got baseball and soccer, tennis going on all over the place. A good idea just to avoid tonight being outside in the first place, because the cloud to ground lightning is so dangerous, and it's really our #1 issue tonight in terms of storm safety. You can see this storm continuing to push on towards Seattle and Redmond as we head into the next 20 minutes or so, arriving in downtown Seattle here shortly with some of those thunderstorms rolling into King County. Again, a look at the high temps today. That was really what fueled these thunderstorms and the concerns. We get thunderstorms a lot as we head into late March. It's a common feature around here as we transition from winter to spring, but those are usually the cold core sort of thunderstorms. We tend to get the pea or the gravel-sized hail. We get the cold showers. We get a lot of lightning, but we're usually talking about temps in the 50s, if not the 40s. Yesterday, we had record high temps back into the mid 70s. Just incredible, because that 73, 74 degree reading that we were seeing between the Sandpoint area where the Weather Service is and SeaTac was just a record smasher. The record for the 25th of March had been just 64 degrees. Today we hit 65. It wasn't as warm, but it's still a good 10 degrees warmer than normal. Yesterday was about 20. So all of that heat at the surface, look at Kelso coming up to 81 for a high today, Forks to 73. All of that heat at the surface created that temperature profile vertically in the atmosphere such that you're really warm down by the ground and you're really cold and really damp up above. And that is the same sort of dynamic pattern that triggers the big thunderstorms this time of year east of the Rockies, but very rarely shows up here in the Pacific Northwest. So look at the futurecast. Here is that line of thunderstorms here for the 7 p.m. hour. It will continue to march north as we head toward 8 o'clock. So between now and 8 o'clock, right over the heart of the metro, Kitsap County, Hood Canal back toward Belfair and Quilcene, across the water toward West Seattle and Elki, and back toward the Sammamish Plateau as well. That's where some of the really heavy hail and the lightning is going to start picking up there on the east side toward Carnation and Falls City. By the time we hit 9 o'clock, that's when that severe thunderstorm watch officially expires. But the thunderstorms aren't exactly through with us yet. They do tend to lose a little bit of their zip and their energy after dark, so they will start to settle down. But you can still see we're talking about plentiful lightning and some heavy downpours around the San Juans and back toward Vancouver Island. Also some lingering heavy showers and thunderstorms over the Cascade Crest between Crystal Mountain and Mount Rainier. And finally, these will continue to lift past midnight toward the Canadian border, Whatcom and Skagit County. So a bigger view, because we still have the rest of the storm to deal with. It's out sitting in the Pacific, and it will continue to give us some pretty inclement weather as we head into our Thursday. Tonight, the potential for the severe thunderstorms moving through, but as we head into Thursday, it's not like we get much of a break. Looks drier for the morning commute, but that deep area of low pressure, the heart of our weather maker, it's still sitting out in the Pacific, and look at it continuing to throw these showers in our direction. Granted, it will be a lot cooler, so we're not talking about severe weather. Could see a stray thunderstorm or two, but nothing like what we saw today. But if you're heading out for the Mariners season opener, it is going to be wet and gusty at times, and that's what the roof is for at T-Mobile Park. So a look at the forecast for overnight tonight. Past midnight, the chance for any really big thunderstorms really diminishes. We've lost our daytime heating and the fuel and the punch behind these thunderstorms in the first place, but not out of the question to have a few more rumbles and flashes of thunder and lightning after midnight and toward our Thursday morning. And some lingering heavy downpours and some pockets of hail still out there, but no longer the giant hailstone variety that we just picked up over the Olympics. As we head into tomorrow, you saw that next weather maker coming through. It looks damp, it looks gusty. High temps in the 50s to about 60 tomorrow afternoon, including 56 around Point Defiance, 59 for the Mariners there at T-Mobile Park, so a chilly day. And low 60s at best around Monroe and Gold Bar. How about the Strait of Juan de Fuca? After the thunderstorms pass tonight, tomorrow will be the cattywampus showers and sunbreaks, some of which are still locally heavy. 50s to about 60 from Linden and Ferndale through Port Townsend, Mount Constitution, and back toward Port Angeles. Ocean beaches tomorrow. Again, the threat for thunderstorms has passed for the most part. Could still see a stray storm with some thunder and lightning, but they'll be our typical variety that we're used to. Still rather gusty, though. That big low is offshore, and we'll see some winds gusting 30 to 40 miles per hour around the coastal headlands. East of the Cascades, that's where we could see some lingering thunderstorms tomorrow on your way out toward Idaho or the Continental Divide. If anybody gets them, probably the Cougs get their turn tomorrow. Highs in the upper 50s with a chance for some thunder and lightning hanging out into the Palouse and back toward Pendleton as well. So here's a look at the extended forecast. After we wring out this energy tonight, we get back to normal tomorrow with rounds of cool showers coming through. Temps back into the upper 50s, more typical of Seattle and Tacoma Fair on Thursday, off and on rain Friday into Saturday, and finally a drier break on Sunday. If you have weekend plans and you aren't choosy and you can pick between the two, Sunday probably definitely the better half of the weekend to get outside. Meanwhile, we're still talking about the chance for some thunderstorms, some of which could be severe, breaking out tonight. For the latest on that, here's our meteorologist Stella Sun.
Thanks, Shannon. We want to start off by giving you that live look right now. This is over Highway 167 in Auburn, where you can see just off into the distance. Yeah, we've got those storm clouds. It is raining. We've got those glossy surfaces on the freeway as we continue to track all of the heavy downpours of rain that is pushing its way from Pierce County up towards King County. And we're tracking all of that storm action right now. If you can take it slow over the freeways and some of the highways, that's going to be the best way to approach any evening drive that you have to do tonight. I would recommend, if you can, get indoors, as we are tracking this line of thunderstorms that are pushing its way up towards the I-5 corridor. It's hitting the Federal Way area through Auburn. It's pushing its way, tracking its way towards Seattle, where some of that rain is starting to fall just south of Seattle towards the Kent and the Des Moines area. As we take a look at some of the wind gusts here that have been reported, so far we've been seeing a lot of those gusts anywhere from the 20s to 30s. Aberdeen clocking in at 31 miles per hour. But if we do get any of these stronger thunderstorms rolling through, we can certainly see gusts upwards of 40 to 60 miles per hour with any of the downbursts from some of these thunderstorms, and that can certainly create some damage if we do get any stronger gusts there. In terms of rainfall totals, really just light amounts at the moment. We're waiting on this to refresh here as we've been tracking some of the heavier downpours of rain that is pushing its way towards the Olympic Peninsula, as well as through parts of Thurston and Pierce County here. So the Storm Prediction Center out of Oklahoma has put basically the entire state of Washington with the chance for some thunderstorms, and where we can see the possibility of severe thunderstorms. So what makes a severe thunderstorm different is you need to have wind gusts greater than 58 miles per hour, the possibility of hail that could be larger than an inch to maybe even 2 inches or even larger, and the chance for some tornadoes. And for here in Western Washington, that's a very low chance. It's basically little to none. Under 5% is where we could see the chance for a tornado, but it's not out of the question there. I think the bigger issue will, of course, be some of that abundant lightning that we've been tracking for you, as well as possible hailstones. So the greatest risk where we could see larger hailstones, that includes this area of yellow that you see here. So we're talking about a 15% chance to a 29% chance in this yellow shading, and 9% to 14% is in some of this tan coloring. So a large portion of the Olympic Peninsula, as well as much of Western Washington, is where we could be seeing hailstones that are larger than normal. We have seen some of the larger hail reported. It hasn't met the severe criteria, which would be an inch, but it was falling over towards the Olympic Mountains here. And zooming on out and showing you Doppler radar right now, where we're still seeing a lot of these broken apart, scattered thunderstorms that are rolling through. We've seen this line of thunderstorms passing through the Olympic Peninsula, through Port Angeles. It has pushed its way towards Vancouver Island as well as a batch of thunderstorms that are passing through right now. It looks like towards Mount Rainier, Tacoma. But zooming on in, you can see all of that lightning. Hundreds of strikes of lightning have been reported across Western Washington, as well as some of that steadier rain. And areas of yellow is where we're seeing more of that moderate rain. So Rainier through Dew Point, JBLM, Tacoma, and south of Tacoma through Fife and towards Maple Valley, and plenty of lightning. If you can head indoors, that's going to be your best bet. We are expecting this storm to be passing through Seattle here in the next few minutes, pushing towards shoreline by about 7:33 and working its way up north. Shannon has told you that that severe thunderstorm watch runs until 9 p.m. So that is really just that criteria where we could see the chance for a strong to severe thunderstorm. So staying safe during this hail storm. If you're watching us right now, if you can try and stay indoors, that's going to be your best bet. Definitely move away from any windows if you hear any heavy downpours of rain, or if you see any lightning or you hear any thunder. If you can park your car in a garage, that's going to be the best bet. Over a covered area will be great if you have a carport. And if not, you can certainly cover your car with any towels or blankets, doormats. If you don't have any of that, you can try and use some of your old Amazon boxes. So we're going to continue to see the storms pushing its way through about that 8 p.m. hour to Seattle to shoreline, and then 8 p.m. onward is when we are going to start to see it pushing towards the Everett area and Snohomish County, and then after 9 p.m. p.m. is when we're going to lose a lot of the steam and the energy that will create some of the severe thunderstorms. So we'll still see some thunderstorms, but it won't be considered in that severe criteria, which, as we've mentioned, could be upwards of an inch in hailstones, as well as wind gusts greater than 58 miles per hour, and that chance for the thunderstorms. So this low pressure system, it is quite a beauty here, and you can see it is just pushing all of that moisture from Oregon up towards Seattle. And of course, we've got all of the warm air towards the surface and colder air towards the tops, towards the upper levels of the atmosphere here. Futurecast through about 8:30, we're going to continue to still see some thunderstorms through parts of Mason County as well as Thurston County, just in the south Puget Sound area, working its way up north through about 10 p.m. That's when we're going to start to see a lot of these thunderstorms lose its steam, but you can still see some heavier downpours of rain will be possible. Tomorrow morning, we'll start to dry things out, but as we approach the afternoon and evening, we'll start to see the winds picking up, as well as more rain expected as we approach that Mariners home opener tomorrow. Daytime highs will be generally in the 60s and 50s here. 60 degrees expected in Renton, middle 50s in Bellevue. We've got double fives in Marysville as well, with breezy winds expected, and we are expecting to see, of course, that roof to be closed over at T-Mobile Park. I'm going to continue to track radar here and send things over to Shannon, who's got a closer look at your forecast as we continue to track all of these storms pushing its way up towards the I-5 corridor. I'm going to first send it over towards Molly and Preston, who have more info at the desk.
Right, Stella, thank you. Obviously getting some great information from our meteorologist tonight, but another way to see what's happening out there firsthand is to check in with our crews in the field.
And Ryan Sims, he's live right now in Burien, and it's looking pretty ominous behind you, Ryan. I know you've seen some lightning strikes out there as well. What's it feel like? Can you smell the rain coming in? What are you seeing? Oh, heard thunder.
Well, right now, just overhead, you're pitching to me. We are thunder. Yeah, it really is starting to be a rumbling time out here in the Burien area. We're about a mile away from Seahurst Park to give you some perspective. Obviously, where there's thunder, there's also lightning. We've been seeing bits and pieces of the surrounding area light up with all those bolts coming down. So it really is picking up here. I'm going to scoot out of the seat so you can just take a look at the sky. It has been a dramatic change here in the Burien area and the SeaTac area in the last hour. If you saw our live report about 6:15, it was actually sunny to the point where you could see your shadow. Now, though, no such luck. If you see your shadow, it's likely because there's a bolt of lightning that has passed somewhere over you, and there we have it. Live on TV right there. So that is really kind of the only illumination that we're seeing beyond just the street lights here. It has really picked up. Now, the good news for people here in Burien and overall in the SeaTac area and the Des Moines area is that disruptions to traffic and disruptions to people's everyday kind of life haven't really taken a hit, at least not yet. It seems like a lot of people have gotten the message to hunker down inside, at least through this hour, if not the next hour. And as Stella so ably reported about a few minutes ago, as we keep seeing those lightning bolts in the distance, Stella was saying about 9 o'clock, it seems like it will be the calm after the storm, so to speak. So that is good news, but there we go. Rumbles of thunder continuing every few seconds here. So this is what we anticipated. And again, the good news for so many people here in the Burien area is that they are hunkered down inside. No major disruptions, at least not yet. But we're going to keep tabs on this. Obviously, this can be very dangerous weather. And we've been warning it is a weather warn night for sure here, quite possibly. So obviously we are, hello. Sorry, we're on live TV. Do you live in this area?
Yeah, right there. My dog is barking at you guys.
Oh, barking at us. How's the dog doing in the thunder and lightning?
Oh, he's not liking it.
He's not liking it? Well, let you go inside and take care of the dog, and you stay safe, too.
I'm watching KOMO right now.
All right. Hey, well, we have a fan here in Burien. There we have it. Stay safe. You never know what to expect on live TV, and we have our fans out here in Burien. But she's one of many people, again, staying safe here in this area, as we've been warning people to do, because you just don't know any of these conditions. So the message is continue to stay indoors the next few hours. Obviously want to take care of those pets like this lady is doing to her dog. So the message here in Burien, stay safe, stay indoors. It will pass by about 9 o'clock. We'll keep tabs on everything, and we'll let you know if we see anything dramatic as the evening continues. Send it back to you.
Hey, Ryan, while I've still got you there live in the field, I know you guys are doing what you can to stay safe, but in the old days, maybe not even that long ago, we used to have live trucks where you put up the mast anytime lightning was in the sky and you saw it. You want to put those things down immediately because it was so dangerous. But now we operate a little bit differently in the field. Can you tell our viewers quickly just what that's like now?
Yes, I'm glad we're not in the old days, Preston. I'm glad that those days have passed. So essentially now, we don't have the live trucks. We have a normal vehicle that is just, you would see any day out on the freeway. And to go live in the field, now we have a live view unit. It's basically looking like a backpack. It's no bigger than a backpack. It allows us to transmit anywhere we can at a moment's notice. And so that thunder, I'm telling you, it is rumbling. Talking about the conditions and going live, it is no bigger than a backpack. So this allows us to stay a lot safer than what we normally would have done even a decade ago at this time with putting those transmitters up. It would have been very, very dangerous, Preston, as you say. That is no longer the case. Obviously, we're trying to heed a lot of the warnings out here and stay safe. But in terms of putting ourselves at risk by trying to transmit live to you on air, that is much, much safer than it would have been just a few years ago. And hence, while you're seeing all the kind of participation live on your screen, it is because of those live view units, so to speak, that is allowing us to transmit right now, and will continue to allow us to do it through much of the evening as we keep tabs on this very unique springtime storm. So we'll keep tabs on everything, keep monitoring everything, and we'll let you know if we see anything dramatic. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Ryan Sims live tonight in Burien. Thanks so much, Ryan. And we also have other crews out there watching this severe weather come in.
We do, and actually it's more new technology that we have. We can get to Jeremy Harris now, who's in the KOMO traffic tracker, actually broadcasting live while driving through this weather out there. And Jeremy, I know you went as far south as Lewis County. Now you're back up in Pierce County.
Yeah, that's right. We're just coming through Tacoma, and I'll tell you, this really does seem to be the main event here of the storm tonight. Let me show you out the front of the front of the car here. You can see we got very heavy rainfall. This is on I-5. We're just going through that area where you turn off to go to Puyallup in the Emerald Queen Casino. That's right here. This is in Tacoma. Very heavy rain, definitely having to keep the speeds down here on the highway. And I have actually seen some ponding on the sides of the highway, so definitely something to be aware of as drivers seem to be taking it a little bit slower. Though I will say there seems to be a little less traffic than usual right now. The roads are flowing just fine, but there's definitely some rain. And what's really stood out to me about this storm too, and it's not something that we see all that often here up in the Pacific Northwest, but there has been some major lightning that we've seen, not necessarily right over Tacoma, but we can see in the distance, and as we were just listening there to Ryan up in Burien, you could see some of that lightning heading up on the north end. So we definitely got active storm cell that's moving through this area. There is that lightning risk and certainly heavy rain that's coming down, and heavier than what we're used to on a normal rainy northwest day. So we are starting to see some of that accumulation there on the highways. As far as travel goes, we have not seen anything as far as travel disruptions. We were just on some of the side roads back in Lakewood. Everything seemed to be flowing just fine. I would say if there are going to be problems, they're likely going to come as a result of power outages or any localized ponding or flooding in some of those really localized roads where they may be susceptible to that. But as far as the freeway right now, things are fine. Cars are going, like I said, just a little bit slower, and we are seeing a very high volume of rain. But overall, everything seems to be safe, and we're certainly staying safe out here. But we're just going maybe just a tad slower than you would on dry surface roads. So, like I said, we've been down. We were earlier down in Lewis County, Chehalis, that area. They got hit. There was definitely some heavy rain there, but that has sort of moved on to the north now. And back up here in Pierce County seems to be, like I said, the main event here as the storm is now making its way through. So we've got our ears on the police scanners and fire scanners. If we hear any sort of trees down or any flooding, we're going to race right over to it. But for right now, I can tell you out here on the main roads, things are looking okay.
Right. Well, we're glad to hear that, and glad you're staying safe as well, Jeremy. Thank you. We want to take some other live looks around. Both of our crews, Ryan and Jeremy, talking about seeing lightning, and of course we were hearing all the thunder there with Ryan and Burien. This is a view right now from one of our cameras pointing south towards the stadiums, and we have it pulled out nice and wide here to check out what's happening in the skies here right in the Seattle area. We have seen,
Ooh,
there you go.
There you go.
Yep, we're expecting a light show and hoping to catch that, and so there it is. We've been seeing quite a bit of that, of the lightning flashes in the sky here in Seattle as well.
Yeah, and you know what we see a lot of the time time here is that cloud-to-cloud lightning, but we don't always see so much cloud-to-ground lightning. We saw that in the storm the other day. I think we got one good strike over downtown Seattle. I happened to be driving on the freeway when that happened, but I did see some of those shots over where Ryan was in Burien, but this is over SeaTac now. We're kind of seeing some raindrops on the camera lens there as we take a live look over SeaTac International Airport, and you can see the skies are dark there as well. No lightning strikes in this spot, but we did see those as we pointed south a few minutes ago here, a few seconds ago. But we're going to go back out live to Burien now, where Ryan Sims is standing by. You had some incredible shots earlier, Ryan, a lot of lightning. We could hear thunder through your microphone. Are you experiencing the same thing now?
You know, we still have the lightning, we still have the thunder, but the thing that's really changed, and I'm talking about just in the last 6 minutes since I was with you a few moments ago, was the rain has really picked up. This is a downpour now, which we don't really see a lot in Seattle. It's usually a mist, but that's not the case right now. The rain is really coming down. I am soaked. Photographer over here is soaked, and the whole street is absolutely inundated with water. And so it seems like while the thunder and the lightning definitely has been a component, as we showed you a few minutes ago on our air, now also it is the rain that is really coming down. And I just checked with the Seattle-Tacoma International Airport, where we were during the 6 o'clock hour, still a testament to kind of their operational abilities. Very few flights are delayed. There were a few delays that I saw, about 5 or 6 of them, but we don't know if that was just because of the weather or because of any kind of other operational issues. And so the airport is still running normal right now, despite the rain, despite the thunder and the lightning. But again, make no mistake about it, as we come back, is that it is getting to be a very wet, slippery situation, as well as a very loud situation because of all the thunder here in the Burien area. Again, the good news, as I reported a few minutes ago, is the fact that it seems like people have gotten the message. They paid attention to our broadcast. They paid attention to the National Weather Service. And so people are hunkered down inside. Now, this is a time of day where normally you see still a lot of people kind of milling about because they're coming home from a long day at work. It seems like they left work perhaps early. They're inside. They're not going out. We hope they don't go out until the storm has passed, which, according to our reporting, according to Stella's son a few moments ago, is about 9 o'clock. And after that, it will be calmer than it is now. But very few people are on the roadways here. They seem to be heeding the warnings. We're not seeing any trouble. We're not hearing of any trouble, at least not yet, but we'll keep monitoring the situation here in Burien. Obviously, the lightning is still a factor, so if anything changes, we'll be sure to let you know. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Ryan, thanks. Live from Burien, and as we watch this storm come in, we can hear the thunder, we can hear the lightning. We want to send it back over to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Shannon, we see the lightning and thunder, or at least we hear the thunder in that Burien area, and sometimes when you see the lightning or thunder, you count 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000 to see how many miles away it is from where you're standing. Can you tell how far it is from Ryan right now?
Oh, yeah, really good question. It looks like it's, almost over the top of him. It's pretty instantaneous. Of course, the speed of light goes a lot quicker than the speed of sound, but when they happen nearly at the same time, they are together. When you hear thunder, by the way, it's the sound of the air exploding. It's how hot it is when those bolts of lightning come down. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why we advised everybody to get it indoors tonight. Take the sports teams off the fields, postpone those practices, and just try to get home early before that heavy rain that we've been tracking hits and comes on through. Not just the heavy rain, but the reason we do still have this ongoing severe thunderstorm watch, which is exceptionally rare for our neck of the woods, is because in some cases these thunderstorms have the potential to head into the severe category. That means the very large hail, because these thunderheads are extending 30, 40,000 feet into the atmosphere. It's very cold up there, so as all of the updrafts in the thunderstorms push some of the hail up into the upper reaches of the clouds, they just continue to get coated with ice until finally gravity wins and they come back down. And they can be the sizes of quarters. We already have detected some hail that large or pretty close to it over the Olympic Peninsula. The threat for severe thunderstorms like this is still in place just about anywhere through King and Pierce and Thurston counties through 9 p.m. At that point, the severe thunderstorm watch will expire. Again, with that, the large hail, the damaging winds possible. As promised, the biggest threat with this round of severe weather coming through tonight is the lightning, the copious amounts lots of lightning strikes out there, numbering in the thousands at this point through Washington and Oregon, and dangerous cloud-to-ground lightning at that, as Preston mentioned. One of the batches, this is the leading edge, by the way, that went through the Olympic Peninsula and dropped all of that really heavy and large hail, is now across the border, pushing into Vancouver Island for our neighbors to the north. But now we are seeing lots of action here right in the metro area. In live time, you're seeing the lightning strikes really flashing out there, coming down over Burien, right where Ryan Sims and his photographer were filming for us. And so no wonder he was hearing a lot of thunder and seeing those flashes behind him. Right now over Poverty Bay, the thunderstorms are rolling past Des Moines and Normandy Park on their way towards SeaTac Airport, by the way. Right around South Center, some very heavy precipitation coming down, loads of lightning there around South Center near Tequila. Precipitation rates there over an inch an hour, indicating the heavy downpours, but also the potential for some hail. Some more of these big cells starting to develop and pop up in some cases right over downtown Seattle and close to it. You can see some of those around Ballard. We're seeing some of the lightning strikes just offshore from Magnolia there near Inner Bay and the Bluff. And then backing things up just to track this, it looks like some of these heavier cells that are in the mix here right over the heart of King County will continue to cross towards Snohomish County as we head into the 7 and 8 o'clock hour, crossing that King-Snohomish County line, eventually showing up in Bellevue in just a few minutes here at 7:42. Redmond, you should start seeing some thunder and lightning action at 7:51. Maltby right near that cemetery area back to about 8:06 or so, and then finally heading into downtown Everett by the time we hit 8:23. So that would be the thunder, lightning, the heavier showers and the hail arriving for all of those communities. Another spot. So again, these thunderstorms are now starting to pop up in individual cells, and we kind of want to go cell by cell. This is another batch of very heavy precipitation with a lot of lightning. You can see how it's evolving and showing up with fresh lightning strikes there as well. This is over the Sammamish Plateau, right around Pine Lake and Klahani, back towards Sahalee and Novelty Hill. Looks like some really heavy precipitation, very likely with some larger hail involved there. And that particular cell will also continue to march to the north-northeast here as we head into the 8 o'clock hour, pushing there because it's on the east side of King County into eastern Snohomish County. Monroe and Gold Bar there between 8:03 and 8:09. That's when this cell of potentially really heavy hail and lots of lightning arrives on your doorstep. And just want to slice some of these thunderstorms open because that's really the difference. We often get thunderstorms around here that max out in the atmosphere at about 10 to 20,000 feet into the atmosphere. East of the Rockies, it's a normal day for some of these thunderstorms to extend 40, even 50,000 feet up into the sky. Well, we're close today. You can see that slicing one of these thunderstorms here vertically shows how high up into the atmosphere they are reaching, a real testament to the convection and the lift within them and the potential to drop a lot of lightning and hail. Our thunderstorms here, right here at home in Puget Sound, extending 30 to 40,000 feet up into the sky. And it looks like we're starting to lose our hail tracks. They do expire after a half an hour or so, but during the 6 p.m. hour, big lines of really severe heavy hail there, upwards of about an inch in diameter, showing up outside of Hurricane Ridge on their way toward Port Angeles. So if those did indeed measure, as indicated by the Doppler, that they were about a quarter in size, that would be in that severe category. We often get the pea or the gravel-sized hail around here. That's very common in the spring season, but as we head into weather like this, we had the potential for coin-sized hail, which again, you get to a quarter or larger, can put you into that severe thunderstorm category. So again, very unusual, uncommon just to see quarter-sized hail anywhere, but especially here in the Northwest, and it looks like we did pick some up over the Olympic Peninsula tonight. So look at how this is impacting some of the commutes. This is the view across the Narrows Bridge. Notice it's not a great view. That's where some of those thunderstorms just moved through, so we might end up seeing a flashing lightning bolt here on the horizon with a few more of those bubbling on by. And the University of Washington just got dark here after sunset. We're waiting for the thunderstorms to arrive here over the heart of the Seattle area, which, as you saw with the tracking, should happen within the next 15 minutes or so. The heart of the storm, here it is. Big area of low pressure still churning over the offshore waters. So even once we get past this first round of heavy showers and thunderstorms coming through tonight, look at the leftover, so to speak, behind the main event. A lot of that kind of pockmarked looking cloud texture Looks like popcorn bubbling up over the Pacific. That's indicative of more instability. So not out of the question to even pick up more ongoing thunderstorms, certainly throughout the course of the night, just not likely to be as severe because we have cooled things down at that point. We don't have that heat left at the surface, but we do still have this big area of low pressure to get through, and that will be the storm on the way in here tomorrow. Thursday still looks like a wet and gusty day here locally in Puget Sound. So overnight tonight, the lingering lightning, even after midnight, things will start to settle on down as we head past midnight, but still could see some stray hail, thunder, or lightning out there. Overnight lows in the upper 40s, so kind of muggy and mild all night long. As we head into tomorrow, we will see back to normal weather. It's Thursday and it's late March, and we should be in the mid to the upper 50s this time of year. That's how things are going to go tomorrow. Still damp at times, still blustery and cool, but pretty typical for Puget Sound standards as we head into tomorrow afternoon. So a look at the extended forecast. We are talking about temps getting back to where they're supposed to be. You can see we drop into the upper 50s tomorrow with gusty conditions on Thursday. The Mariners game, of course, they open up at T-Mobile Park as we head into Thursday evening. It's going to be a damp and gusty night out there at the ballpark. We'll be out there to cheer them on, and it will very likely be a roof-closed event, of course. By Friday, lingering scattered showers that continue into the final weekend of March. Sunday, at this point, looking a little bit brighter. Still an hour or so, hour and a half of the chance for severe thunderstorms left to go. With the latest, here's our meteorologist, Stella Sun.
Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, we are tracking all of that heavy rain that continues to work its way towards the I-5 corridor right now, and we're seeing really impressive rainfall rates at the moment. So in areas of yellow, that's where we're seeing more of that steady rain. It looks like the precip rate right now is about an inch an hour, and this is towards the Georgetown area. Tracking this storm for you right now. It looks like towards 7:50, that's when we're going to start to hear all of that rain knocking on our rooftops here in Seattle. And it's going to continue to track towards the Ballard area, closer to 8, and Shoreline by about 8:07. And as we approach that 9 p.m. hour is when we're going to start to see the thunderstorm lose its steam. Also seeing very impressive precipitation rates. This is over in the east side, just north of the Issaquah area. So Sammamish, if you're in a Novelty Hill there, Carnation, this is where we're seeing really heavy downpours of rain, as well as a few bolts of lightning as this thunderstorm is starting to roll its way through. It looks like we've also got a thunderstorm that is got some cloud-to-ground lightning towards the Westlake Sammamish area and just south of the Bellevue area. So we're going to continue to track this thunderstorm, this cell here. So it looks like 7:47 towards Redmond, so any minute now. Cottage Lake at 7:51, Maltby towards 7:55, and 8 p.m. is when Silver Firs is going to start to hear some of the heavier downpours of rain. Also tracking some steady amounts of rain, and this precipitation rate, this is just off of Edmonds Beach, is where it's closer to about 4 inches an hour. Now, this severe thunderstorm watch and all of this hot pink, this is very rare for the National Weather Service to be issuing an alert like this. So we could still have that potential for some strong wind gusts. We're talking 40 to 60 miles per hour could be possible. Fair game in all of this hot pink. So from Seattle down towards Olympia through the Chehalis Valley, and this extends actually all the way into portions of Oregon there. Damaging hail could be in the question there. We haven't seen an inch or greater hail yet across western Washington. There was 0.9 hailstones reported. That was over towards the Olympic Mountains. And this severe thunderstorm warning will run until about 9 p.m. So let's talk about some of the hailstone sizes. So how do we get some hail? So we've got, of course, the thunderstorm. And in the upper levels of the thunderstorm, we've got some colder air and we've got water droplets. And so when there is more instability, we've got more updrafts in the thunderstorm that continues to toss around some of the water droplets, and it gathers and it freezes and it continues to get larger and larger. It continues to get pushed up by the updrafts of the thunderstorm, and that's how we continue to see the greater hailstones that develop. Where we see the severe criteria is when the hailstones are greater than an inch, about a quarter size or so, and even larger. And there is that slim chance that we could be seeing that quarter size hail, and that's going to be fair game to about that 9 p.m. hour, but that's going to be very rare. But there is that potential, that hail risk right here, where we could see that potential for hail the size of a quarter to a golf ball size, is in that yellow coloring. But we have seen this line of thunderstorms marching through, and I haven't seen any large hail stone reports yet, but there is still that possibility. So staying safe through the hailstorm, you want to stay indoors and, of course, away from any windows, and parking your car at this point, if you live in Seattle or north of the Seattle area, area, that's going to be a good idea. Any covered areas, if you have a carport, and if not, you can certainly use towels, blankets, or even doormats to try and protect some of your property. Again, that severe thunderstorm watch runs until that 9 p.m. hour, but we still have that potential to see thunderstorms, so regular thunderstorms, which means we could see smaller hailstones, the potential for some lightning, and some gusty winds as well, and some heavier downpours of rain will still be possible through the evening hours, but none that are considered in the severe category. We're still tracking this area of low pressure just off into the Pacific and giving us all of that moisture with all of that warm air that we have towards the surface, thanks to that area of that ridging that we saw over towards the desert southwest. So through Futurecast right now, we're going to start to see a lot of the thunderstorms losing its steam, losing its energy as we approach that 9 p.m. hour. You'd see it's pushing its way towards the Vancouver Island and towards our neighbors in the BC area, but we'll still see the areas of rain showers as well as a chance to see some thunderstorms through the evening hours. I think the morning commute will see mostly dry conditions. There may be a few stray showers here or there, but then as we approach the afternoon into the evening, that's when we're going to start to see the gusty winds and even some off and on rain showers. So daytime highs will generally be cooler compared to what we've had over the last few days, but this is still running warmer than where we should be sitting in the middle 50s for Bellevue, Redmond, 54 degrees for my family in Federal Way, and 59 in the Lakewood area with some breezy winds expected. Upper 50s for Friday Harbor and Anacortes, where we'll see a mix of the sun and the clouds, but there will be some rain showers mixed in there as well, but pretty light for the most part. 59 degrees expected in Bellingham. And if you live along the coastlines, that's where we're going to see the stronger wind gusts and temperatures generally in the lower 50s, in the middle 50s expected towards the state capital with some off and on rain showers. And over in eastern Washington, we'll see more sunshine towards Chelan, and over in Spokane in the low 60s. And for my fellow Cougs at WSU, that's where we could see more of the rain, as well as a lot of cooler temperatures expected in the Palouse and in the middle 60s towards the Richland area. Your 7-day forecast, we are expecting that Mariners home opener with that roof closed over at T-Mobile Park, where daytime highs will be in the upper 50s with some of those breezy winds. And we start to see the mercury drop to the low 50s for your Friday, but looking ahead towards the all-important weekend on Sunday, that's when we're going to see more dry time as well as more sun breaks expected. But temperatures really just teeter-tottering for the next 7 days, in the 50s, even jumping up to the low 60s by Sunday. So we're really just seeing the temperature swings as we enter into spring here, dive deeper into spring. And we're going to continue to track all of the thunderstorms. I know Shannon has been watching all of these thunderstorms as it continues to work its way through the Seattle area and north of there. So I'm going to send things over to Shannon with more coverage.
Okay, so we're going to go back out live to our big fish cam. You can see it's pointed toward Lumen Field and T-Mobile Park. A lot of raindrops on the lens there. Very dark. Of course, it is nighttime as well, so that's kind of mixing in with the clouds that we're seeing there with the severe thunderstorms coming through. But you can see the ground clearly wet. No lightning strikes as of yet that we're seeing on this camera. And, of course, we can't hear anything because we don't get sound off of this live camera. But we are seeing very ominous skies from what we can tell based on Stella's forecast. Oh, I spoke too soon.
There
Maybe
was some
not.
lightning. This camera pointed to the south, too. We do have a power outage reported by Seattle City Light in South Seattle. Just about 900 people affected in that outage. Of course, it's way too early to know what's causing it, but with everything going on, there's a good chance that one is weather-related. Puget Sound Energy also has a handful of outages, just also around 1,000 customers. We're switching cameras now. This is also looking down to the south. This is the camera that is on the Columbia Tower in downtown Seattle, and it is also catching quite a few raindrops on the lens.
Yeah, definitely raindrops, and we saw a couple of those lightning strikes. We couldn't see if it was cloud to ground lightning, but it did look cloud to cloud and some pretty bright strikes. This is our this is our Queen Anne camera here, pointing toward downtown Seattle. They're very dark, obviously, but also you can tell how ominous it is because normally we'd be able to see all the lights of those buildings right there. But the storm, it looks almost like it's right overhead of us here. We're going to go to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell to track the storm, show us exactly where it's at.
Yep. And looking at those cameras, it's just fun to watch them and see the lightning take shape and watch these storms pushing into Puget Sound as if you're in the Midwest and watching one of those big spring or summer thunderstorms rolling in. Very similar dynamics to those sort of storms, and that's why the National Weather Service and specifically the Storm Prediction Center put us under, as we've been detailing, that severe thunderstorm watch in western Washington today, which is exceptionally rare. Not just the lightning threat, which is easily the biggest threat of all. We've had thousands of strikes today through the Pacific Northwest already. We've also had some reports of very large hail, which would put us in that category for these thunderstorms actually going from garden variety to severe, large hail being a quarter size or more. And we had some of that certainly over the Olympic Peninsula within the last hour. Locally gusty winds 40 to 60 miles per hour, still the very outside, a chance for a tornado. But now that things are getting dark, the dynamics continue to settle on down. A look at the pink shaded area again. This is everybody that is still under that severe thunderstorm watch. It includes parts of King County that have not ever been under a severe thunderstorm watch before. And it's because we did get the attention of the Storm Prediction Center from the National Weather Service out of Norman, Oklahoma, really highlighting us as the bullseye for potentially severe weather today here through Puget Sound and the Willamette Valley. Still looking through 9 p.m. tonight at the chance for downburst gusts beneath the base of some of these isolated thunderstorms, 40 to 60 miles per hour. Still could see some more of that large and damaging hail. And again, this goes through 9 p.m. The heavy rain, the lightning is a given. That will continue to roll through. So let's move on to that and see what's happening as we speak. You can see the main line of thunderstorms here extending from Vancouver Island all the way back down toward Puget Sound right now, and dozens of lightning strikes even here in the metro area over the last hour or so. Zooming in for a closer look, you can see where the heaviest batch of precipitation is. Right over the heart of King County, so pushing into downtown Seattle at the moment. Heavy precipitation right over downtown, back toward Alki Beach in West Seattle. Quite a lightning show at the moment for anybody on the ferries trying to get out of Coleman Dock and over Elliott Bay. So that is one of our cells. Notice that we've kind of lost that big squall line. We have a lot of topography around here, right? It's not like Oklahoma or Texas or parts of the Midwest where things are flat for miles. These storms come in, they hit the Olympic Peninsula, they really actually do get torn up on impact. And so now our thunderstorms are becoming much more piecemeal as they're heading into the heart of the metro area. Another spot where we do have some heavy precipitation and a severe or a potentially severe thunderstorm pushing over is right here around Possession Bay. Rain rates there indicating that we probably have some hail actually, because they are at nearly 3 inches an hour there, as suggested by the software on the radar. We'll go kind of spot to spot and see where else that precipitation is really coming down. There's a fresh lightning strike again there, pushing through Redmond and Murray-Moore Park, back towards Stillwater on the east side of King County. Look at this big line heading right from downtown Issaquah and the Highlands back over Snoqualmie Ridge on your way on up towards Snoqualmie Summit. Remember, we were talking about the chance for the really big hail being over the higher terrain. We had that come to fruition today over the Olympic Peninsula. This looks like a really heavy batch of hail, very likely on your way past Garcia and pushing on up toward the Denny Creek Parkway. I'll look at tracking as these are going to continue to head from King County north across the county line into Snohomish County and eventually into the Skagit Valley. This heavy cell, if it's able to stay together, should be entering around Monroe and Gold Bar just after 8 p.m. tonight, 8:11 specifically. Granite Falls, you should be seeing some of the thunder, lightning, and hail by the time we hit 8:38, and finally moving on up into the North Sound around Darrington after 9 p.m. At that point, the official severe thunderstorm watch does expire, but we are still going to see some lingering thunderstorms. And back to that big cell as it's pushing through Clinton right now on its way toward Tulalip as we head toward 8:11. Arlington, you see this particular cell moving to the north-northeast by 8:30. Mount Vernon, 8:51. Anacortes and Bellingham after the 9 p.m. hour. These thunderstorms continue to roll through Island County and back toward Whatcom County as well. That's the severe line, or the potentially severe line. We're not done yet. Remember, we have that big area of low pressure offshore. So even after we head past midnight, these rounds of heavy showers with some hail or some lightning will continue to run through. You can see the next batch behind it coming through Ocean Shores, Elma, and Hump Tulips as we speak. No lightning within a look at this set of cells here, but it definitely looks like some heavy rain, if not some lightning there near the coastline. So hour by hour forecast, this is just for Seattle proper. We are in the thick of it right now through the metro area. An ongoing chance for thunder, lightning, lightning and hail as we head through 7 into 8 p.m. At that point, at least for the Emerald City, things should finally start to settle down. Notice we lose our heat. We were well into the 60s today, 70s yesterday, and that's what got all of this fired up in the first place. But these thunderstorms have an amazing ability to cool down the atmosphere all the way down to the surface, and that really takes the punch out of the chance for lingering thunderstorms here. So we'll stay in the 50s as we head into the later evening hours, often on scattered showers with a stray thunderstorm or two possible, but overall starting to get back to normal as we head past midnight and into early Thursday morning.
Well, Shannon, thanks. Things really have been sticking to the timeline that you told us to expect. And as we take a live look right now from this camera at SeaTac Airport, we're actually starting to see just a little bit of an area breaking up with the clouds and just a little bit of light shining through. SeaTac was one of the areas that we saw the dark clouds hanging out the soonest, and there were even concerns that they might have to do a ground stop at SeaTac, but so far we've heard of no major problems there tonight. So with the clouds clearing, at least in this spot, we know other cameras are showing a much different picture. We can move around the area and just see some different shots here. This is downtown Seattle, clearly. You can see the dark clouds still hanging over the city there as we experience some rainfall here in this area. We want to let you know our live KOMO weather coverage day, our warmer weather warn day coverage is wrapping up here on KUNS, but we will continue with our neighborhood to neighborhood tracking online at KOMOnews.com and on our KOMO News YouTube page. All you have to do is scan the QR code you see right there on your screen to take you there. And we want to thank you for continuing to join us here for our coverage of our Weather Warn Day here on the KOMO News YouTube page and KOMOnews.com. It has been a day that has really played out timing-wise to what we expected, as we knew that severe thunderstorms were going to be rolling in, bringing some potentially dangerous hail as well to some areas. Yeah, and we also want to remind you to send in any pictures you have through our KOMO Chime In link. That's a great place to send the pictures, and you can send us your severe weather photos, pictures. Some great place to do that is Chime In. You can send them there, or we'll probably put them on air or online. We're going to send it over back to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell to give us another look at what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, hi there, guys. We're just going to kind of start from scratch. In case you have not been aware of what's happening, we have a chance for severe weather breaking out for about another hour. We're at the 8 o'clock hour. Remember, the official severe thunderstorm watch goes through King County through 9 p.m. and then should expire. There were lots of signs of instability over the last couple of days, just in the atmosphere in general, but we could see it happening before our very eyes today with some of these thunderheads extending into the upper atmosphere, catching the upper level winds, big anvils like what you see in terms of cumulonimbus clouds east of the Rockies, but very rarely here in Puget Sound. So again, for another hour or so, severe thunderstorms are possible here right in the Seattle metro area, King County, Kitsap County. That includes the damaging hail, the wind, and certainly the lightning. The lightning has been a slam dunk with hundreds, if not thousands, of strikes right here in Puget Sound this evening. There's still a very, very slim chance for a tornado, but that would be a very outside chance at this point. So look at the commute as these heavy showers are rolling through. You can see both the Ship Canal and the University Bridge soaking wet right now. The camera shaking around, heavy rain and some hail pushing through the metro area here into the 8 p.m. hour. Certainly verifying at SeaTac Airport too, it has cooled way down. We were in the mid-60s a couple of hours ago. The thunderstorms again have that great ability to really cool things down as they come through. With the gully washers here, the humidity way up to 90%. It was warm, it was humid today, and all of that helping to trigger this outbreak of thunderstorms pushing through the region. Over the last several hours, you can see how the main line came on through. As we've been saying, right on schedule. The models are really incredible in their ability to pick up these features now and give us a nice hourly timeline of when they think they're going to come on through. So that main line, which is now lifted to Vancouver Island, back over the Central Sound, is still progressing right on schedule, moving almost directly to the north at this point. So we'll get a closer look, and look at how piecemeal now the showers are becoming. Unlike east of the Rockies, where you have all of that flat earth in every direction, we have the opposite of that. We're very famous for our topography here, living in the Puget Sound Bowl, surrounded by mountains, big, tall mountains, 10,000 feet or so over the Olympics, 14,000 feet plus there at Mount Rainier. So that really does a number on these storms as they come through, and the terrain just starts to tear them apart. So much more piecemeal precipitation with those rounds of heavy showers in bits and in pockets now, instead of that big squall line that was a little bit easier to track in time. So we'll kind of go spot by spot, and I'm going to step away and do some of this live here because it takes takes a while to do some of this tracking. You need to get in there and kind of dig around. And we've been on pretty nonstop, so I'm going to go over there and just kind of get into the computer and see what's happening. And we'll just get real nice and close here on the Doppler and see what's going on over Mukilteo. You can see, and if we zoom in here, look at just all that lightning from Terry's Corner and Stanwood back toward Tulalip. You can see around Maxwellton, we definitely have that cell reaching out in your area, and some of that lightning, boy, you know, that's the ferry run there at Clinton, and it's got to be quite a light show there. I know they were going to have some different plans they were making for the ferry runs tonight because of the chance for the severe weather coming through. We'll just use this little tool and see how high and heavy this cell is right here, and you can see the precipitation rate well over an inch. That's telling me that there's some hail in that mix too. Remains to be seen how strong and heavy that hail is, but that looks like the heaviest of it came on through the Olympic Peninsula a little bit earlier tonight. So now going into the heart of King County. Again, you can see from downtown Seattle all the way toward Falls City, we have some very heavy pops of precipitation, likely with some hail. Zooming in here to the north end of Seattle between Finney Ridge, Maple Leaf, back toward Ravenna and Laurelhurst. We have the potential for some hail there, certainly at the north end of Seattle around Green Lake, if not a little bit of thunder and lightning in the mix as well. So we'll zoom out here. Again, these showers getting all torn apart now because of our terrain. You can see on the east side of King County, the Hollywood Hill, Kingsgate, back toward Novelty Hill, Redmond. Yep, there goes a fresh strike there right near Redmond High School. So it's quite an afternoon and evening there on the east side of King County. If we pull out and just do a little tracking, and frankly, these get a lot harder to track once you lose the initial feature, that nice solid line that came in from the ocean, torn all apart by our topography. But we'll put the tracking software on here and see where it thinks this is going to be going. These are moving to the north-northeast, so that would take some of these heavier showers and thunderstorms with hail and lightning right through Duval as we head toward 807. That's in 2 minutes. It's on your doorstep, Duval. Monroe and Gold Bar, you start talking about the heavy thunder and lightning here as we head toward 821. Westlake Stevens on deck for some thunderstorms pushing through at 838, Marysville 851, and finally Cedro-Woolley after the 9 o'clock hour. Remember, at that point, the severe thunderstorm watch will have expired, but it's not out of the question, certainly, to get some more of these heavier thunderstorms pushing on through. So I want to go back here. Let's just erase this and get that tracking off of there. And instead, we'll do a little bit of zooming in because this cell, I'm not liking the looks of that one. Notice when you talk about the legend up at the top, we get a lot of the green around here. It keeps our evergreen state nice and lush when we get all of our light rain. But the scale is such that when you start getting into the pinks and the reds, that is the Doppler matching up with much heavier precipitation, usually hail. And remember, the reason that the Storm Prediction Center was so worried about our neck of the woods today was because of the chance of really large and damaging hail. And the place that it was bullseyeing for the best chance for that large hail was on the east side, closer to the Cascade foothills. And this pocket here, just around Snoqualmie Falls, to the east of that, and kind of snug up into the foothills of the Cascades and beyond that toward Alpental, is looking pretty suspect. So if we zoom in there right into the center of the pink, that is a massive cell coming down right now. I mean, look at the rain right there. You know, the precipitation rate is going for a lot. A big, heavy downpour. The chance for flash flooding when you get rain like this is definitely high, and that is likely some big-time hail falling over the Cascade foothills in East King County right now. Not a lot of people out there to verify what exactly they're seeing because that is right deep into the Cascade forest, but it looks like at least a big thunderstorm cell moving through there at the moment. So again, zooming out just to see what else is coming. If we pull on out here, I'm going to get rid of that tracking so we can see what's coming out there over the Pacific and just pull back out here. And again, we've lost our daytime heating. We still have some pockets of heavier showers out there around Hoquiam and back toward Longview and Kelso, Tenino and Toledo. But the bulk of the storm right now is coming right through the metro area, as you can see, on its way toward Everett and Arlington. And just to track this one more time for Skagit County and for Whatcom County, because you can see the leading edge of this is just about to start coming toward you. We're talking about Mount Vernon picking up some of these thunderstorms at 8:33, Bellingham after 9 p.m. And then finally, again, right on schedule, coming through Linden and Ferndale by about 9:30, 9:35. Really amazing to see how well that the computer models were able to forecast this coming on through in terms of the timing and the intensity of some of these storms. So on to some other business here. We'll just look at some of the high temperatures today and talk about the heat that was able to help really fuel these thunderstorms. Remember, highs around here this time of year should be in the mid-50s. 56 is average. We were about 10 degrees above average today and about 20 degrees above average yesterday. Have had a lot of questions coming into the KOMO Weather Center about how on earth did the thunderstorms get this concerning that we became the bullseye of the Storm Prediction Center and we were concerned about such large hail. Well, it was really the heat, because that gives you that temperature profile in the atmosphere where you're really warm at the surface, really cold aloft. We don't see that around here. We usually get cold core thunderstorms that we call the pop and flops. They pop up for a moment, then they're gone, and they disintegrate, and they tend to kill themselves on the way down. These guys, when you've got heat at the surface, it just keeps fueling the development of the thunderstorms. So Kelso and Longview, it's March. You hit 81, warmer than our usual summer day today, and that was the problem. Still a lot of heat, a lot of humidity left out there, especially in Oregon, as these showers passed you by. 70s for highs today at Forks and Quileute in late March. Very impressive there. And then highs in the upper 60s to near 70 for another day out of Shelton and back on in toward Bremerton too. So again, look at the futurecast starting at 8 p.m. So about where we are now, this line is really losing its squall line imagery, and it's starting to become much more piecemeal, again, because it hit our terrain and it was able to get shorn apart on impact as it came on through. By the time we hit the later half of the evening here by 9 p.m., you can see that what's left of the storm is extending back through the Strait of Juan de Fuca and still back over Mount Rainier and into the Cascades. The pockets of hail could be lingering and intense there over Crystal Mountain. By the time we hit 11 p.m., still another line of heavier showers coming through the Seattle metro area. So even though we aren't necessarily talking about severe thunderstorm criteria, it is still going to be some pretty intense precipitation, if not some hail and some lightning over the Seattle area and back toward Everett by later on this evening. Let's talk about tomorrow, because we still have the root of the storm offshore. It's that weather maker, that area of low pressure that brought all the precipitation in the first place. After the potential for severe thunderstorms winds down tonight, there it comes tomorrow, and we'll stop things there for the morning commute. 5:30 in the morning, and it looks a lot quieter around here. Maybe still some lingering showers or thunderstorms over the north central part of the state around Winthrop and Twisp, but we've got a drier start to the day on Thursday. Thereafter, though, remember we've got that big low still sitting offshore, and the rounds of showers continue to rotate around it like the wheels on a bicycle. So here comes a big batch just in time for the Mariners home opener, by the way. It looks wet and gusty right through tomorrow evening. So overnight tonight, the chance for some severe thunderstorms expiring by 9 p.m. After that, we'll still see some thunder, lightning, and hail, but things slowly start to ease and quiet down as we head past midnight and toward tomorrow morning. Temps dropping down into the mid to the upper 40s by dawn tomorrow. And then as we head into Thursday afternoon, you saw in the futurecast that it looks wet again, but it looks normal again. Temps no longer way out of sorts. We're talking about mid to upper 50s, maybe a few spots right around 60, but the chance for any heat at the surface to fuel big thunderstorms is long gone at that point. Still breezy, still showery through the Strait, the San Juans, back into Bellingham Bay and Mount Vernon. Some sun breaks in the mix, some lingering showers, and maybe even a stray thunderstorm. Gusty enough that we still have small craft advisories to worry about through Admiralty Inlet. Ocean beaches, that's more like it. Instead of the heavy hail and the thunder and the lightning, mainly garden variety showers coming through, but still rather windy. Southeasterly winds pushing by Long Beach or ocean shores to the tune of 30 to 40 miles per hour, which is significant in its own right tomorrow. And then finally in eastern Washington, still a chance for a little bit of thunder and lightning to pop in the afternoon. You still have some warmth left to work with, and we're talking about highs back into the mid-60s out of the Tri-Cities and Walla Walla. Cougar Country near Wazoo could still see some thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. So bottom line, we have another hour or so, a little bit less than that to go with the chance for severe thunderstorms here in Puget Sound. That watch officially expires at 9 p.m. Tomorrow, a regular spring day here in the PNW. We'll see rain at times, gusty winds, especially near the beaches, 30 to 40 miles per hour, but gusting 20 to 30 here in Puget Sound, and highs in the 50s for one of those chilly opening days for the M's. Thereafter, damp at times into this final weekend of March, rounding the corner toward more spring cool showers as we head into April. Molly and Preston, still another hour or so to go of this lightning show, the chance for some big hail out there, but we're rounding the corner. The bulk of the thunderstorms continuing to move through the metro area over the next 45 minutes or so.
Well, it has been a show, as you said, Shannon. Thank you. We want to take a look at some pictures that we're getting right now, and some video as well showing some of what we're seeing out there. And yeah, look, even from our own Nico Tamurian, he sent in some video of some lightning. And the Anna shot on the right-hand side of your screen, that crazy cloud-to-ground lightning, just a huge strike there. You can even see where it almost looked like it erupted in a little bit of flame there at the bottom. A lot of rain there from Matthew Fab. Also kind of want to mention here that looking at Seattle City Light right now, there are an estimated 900 customers out near Tukwila. It's kind of right off Interurban Avenue and 51st Avenue South at Joseph Foster Memorial Park, right around that area. And Seattle City Light says those 900 customers are out, and the cause is lightning. So we're looking at that now. Of course, the time of restoration, they're saying, is right around now, so it's unclear if those people will have their power back on. But as of right now, Seattle City Light says no. But you can see another huge cloud-to-ground lightning strike there. That's incredible. Yeah, Puget Sound Energy dealing with some power outages, too, right about the same number. And not a big surprise on a weather night like this. Maybe the surprise would be that just that few people have power out right now, and hopefully it'll stay that way. Some beautiful images there from our photographer, TK, as well. A lot of people have really been able to catch this incredible lightning show that we're having, so unusual for our region. And so when you can get it on camera, that's something else to see. Yeah, when you see those cloud-to-ground lightning strikes, it is something else. What a show out there. We're going to go out now to Jeremy. He is live in Federal Way to show us what he's seeing and kind of what you're hearing. Jeremy, are you experiencing some of the same things, some lightning and thunder where you are?
Yeah, we definitely saw a little bit of lightning here in Federal Way, and the rain was really intense here for a little while, but things have settled down, and we came over here to the Federal Way Transit Center, and that's what you're looking at here out the front of our car. Things here have definitely dried out. I would say it hasn't been raining for probably about the last 10 minutes. We just stopped in here because we knew some folks had parked their cars under here to try and avoid any of that potential hail damage. But certainly the storm has settled down here on the south end of King County, not near what we were seeing about a half hour ago. But as I've been telling you, we've got our ears on the police scanners, and I just heard some officers over in Redmond say that they have been seeing significant lightning over there, and they were advising that they were trying not to get out of their cars right now just because there is some severe lightning going on in Redmond. But here in Federal Way where we are, definitely the storm has slowed way down, and there's almost no rain going on right now. That was a totally different case about 15-20 minutes ago, and so certainly this storm seems to be making its way again from the south up to the north, and it seems like the worst of it has sort of moved on now out of this area of King County. So we're going to also follow the storm. We're going to head back up towards Seattle, let you know if we see any sort of issues, but for the most part, I would say things are looking fairly good in terms of emergencies. We've seen some of that really localized power outages as a result of lightning. I think that's probably going to be the biggest threat right now, is those lightning strikes hitting transformers, hitting power lines, hitting trees that may then fall onto power lines. I think that's probably going to be the biggest threat out of this right now. But for right now, we're keeping an ear on the scanners, we're keeping an eye on the roads, and things are okay here in the south end of King County, and we'll let you know as we learn anything else. All right, Jeremy, thank you. Actually, Jeremy was mentioning power outages, and we were talking about the one from Seattle City Light. Now we know that it's not going to be until sometime in the middle of the night. They're estimating restoration at 1:23 a.m. Yeah, so unclear what happened down there, but we do know the cause was lightning, which is seen throughout the cameras and throughout the radar. We've seen a ton of lightning strikes. So they might have some significant equipment damage there that has to be fixed for them to know that it's going to take that long. Let's get back to meteorologist Stella Sun now, who's also tracking this storm for us. And Stella, things have been running pretty much right on time as how we expected for when this storm would pass through King County. Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of that moisture all across western Washington with those thunderstorms that continue to push its way through parts of King County, Snohomish County. Tracking some of the thunderstorms
neighborhood by neighborhood. You can see some of the really impressive rainfall rates here, upwards of an inch an hour. This is over towards the 522 near the Bothell area. So over the next several minutes, we're going to start to see a lot of that rain pushing its way towards North Creek at 822, 827 near Martha Lake, and by 8:30 hitting the Silver Firs area, working our way up north towards Snohomish County. The precip rates also very impressive, nearly towards 3 inches an hour. We're going to start to see the thunderstorms rolling through, and you can see it with all of the bolts of lightning. We've been tracking thousands of strikes of lightning across western Washington through the afternoon and evening hours. 8:28 towards Stanwood, 8:32 in Lake Ketchum, and then 8:35 towards McMurray there. And working our way towards the Kitsap Peninsula as well, where we're just seeing some of the heavier downpours of rain through Silverdale, parts of Bremerton, as well as in Paulsbo near North Kitsap. And the rainfall rates here generally 0.2 of an inch an hour, so not as much thunderstorm activity over towards the Kitsap Peninsula as we speak. So over the next few minutes, we're going to start to see a lot of that energy pushing its way towards the Strait, as well as in Vancouver Island. We'll also see the thunderstorms passing through parts of Thurston County there and Mason County. And then we're going to start to see another batch of moisture working its way. We've been seeing these scattered thunderstorms pushing its way across western Washington with that area of low pressure and that leading edge that continues to swing moisture in our direction. Through 11 p.m., we can still see some thunderstorms, but that severe thunderstorm watch will run until 9 p.m. where we could see the potential from hail upwards of an inch or even greater, as well as wind gusts to 40 to 60 miles per hour, and that low chance for a tornado. But the chances of a tornado is very, very low. But we can still see thunderstorms through about that midnight hour and into the overnight hours. Through about 3 a.m. is when I think we're going to start to see a lot of the energy lose its steam. By about midnight, you're going to start to hear some of the heavier downpours of rain if you live in parts of Whatcom and Skagit County. Tomorrow morning, the morning commute for the most part from Seattle up towards Bellingham on the I-5 corridor looks good to go, but there will be some off and on light rain showers expected. And as we approach lunchtime, there will still be rain showers that will be pushing its way across western Washington. As we get ready for the Mariners home opener through Seattle, we'll get a batch of rain passing through with first pitch expected at 7:10 with Ichiro throwing that out. And by 11 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, we'll still be holding on to the chances for some rain showers. But once again, that severe thunderstorm watch will run for the next 40 minutes or so here across western Washington, right until 9 p.m., where we can see some of the damaging wind gusts as well as damaging hail. So there's still that potential for large hail expected to be a quarter to golf ball, fair game in any of the areas that you see in the yellow here through about 9 p.m. So we got 40 minutes left of this severe thunderstorm watch that the National Weather Service has issued. This is where we see that potential. We are talking 15% to 29%, where we can see the potential to see some larger size hail, and in areas of brown is where we have that chance from 9% to about 14%. So staying safe during hailstorms, of course, try and stay indoors and away from any windows, and of course parking your cars in garages or any covered areas will be your best bet, and covering any car that you can't cover or put inside a garage with towels or blankets and doormats will be your friend there. Daytime highs tomorrow will be cooler compared to what we hit today. Most areas will generally be in the 50s, though even some low 60s mixed in. Auburn should be hitting 60 degrees, as well as Renton, and we're going to be expecting those light off and on rain showers, as well as those breezy winds. It'll be 55 degrees in Bellevue, in Redmond, 54 for my friends in the Edmonds area. Up north is where we'll see a few more sun breaks expected with some breezy winds and some rain showers as well, passing through generally in the middle 50s through the Strait in Port Angeles and Sequim, towards Anacortes as well in the upper 50s in Bellingham and in Mount Vernon, and 60 degrees in Linden. And if you live along the coastlines there, windy conditions with high temperatures hitting 53 degrees in Long Beach if you live in Ocean Shores, as well as across Forks, and 56 for your daytime highs in Olympia for our state capital, and double fives expected in Centralia and across eastern Washington is where we're seeing more 50s and 60s and more sunshine expected through Chelan and Omak, and through Pullman and Walla Walla is where we'll see more rain and cooler temperatures expected there. Daytime highs in Seattle will be in the upper 50s tomorrow with those breezy winds, and it is opening day for the Mariners. First pitch at 7:10. A bit cooler as we approach Friday and into the the weekend. I know your eyes are probably jumping right towards Sunday, where we'll be hitting the low 60s there and more sun breaks expected. Those overnight temperatures will generally teeter-totter in the 40s. We're going to continue to track the forecast for you as we see all of these thunderstorms rolling through western Washington. But first, I'm going to send back over to Molly and Preston.
Stella, thank you. And as we know that storm's been moving to the north, we want to look at our KOMO cam that's up at Tulalip and check out the view there. Obviously, it is incredibly dark, but as we've been watching it, we have seen the night sky light up here as well with some of those lightning strikes. Hoping to catch some of those right now, but obviously.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yep. I mean, you don't even really have to wait that long. That's the type of night it has been. If you have not had severe weather where you are watching from right now, then you are in the minority. A lot of people have been seeing a lot of lightning tonight and hearing the thunder as well. And the storm has moved itself from the south up to the north as we expected.
Yeah, so now we're watching up here in Snohomish County near Marysville area up at Tulalip Resort. And as we see those lightning strikes, you almost saw that after that cloud-to-cloud strike, it was almost a cloud-to-ground, it almost looked like as well. But we did see in some of the videos that were posted on social media, one of those cloud-to-ground strikes almost causing some flame on the ground. I'm not exactly sure where that location was. We do have a crew that we're sending down to South Seattle to check out that power outage that Seattle City Light says was caused by lightning. I'm going to send it over to meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell to talk about what we're dealing with right now. And, you know, Shannon, some of the storm is starting to kind of fall apart here in Seattle.
Yep, and that's what happens after dark. We lose our daytime heating. You lose all of that warmth at the surface, and so the thunderstorms just tend to wear themselves out. Our topography has played a huge role in just tearing through this big line of thunderstorms tonight as well. They were really strongest over the Olympic Peninsula heading into the foothills of the Olympics. That's where we had the hail that measured, according to the radar algorithm, at about an inch in diameter, very close to it. So that would have qualified that particular storm as severe thunderstorm quality. We are still talking about really severe lightning. That has been a slam dunk tonight. Thousands of strikes detected through Washington and Oregon. Several more to go for the next several hours. The lightning will keep firing up as the storm tries to wear itself out. The threat for large hail really diminishing here after dark. We did see that verify over the Olympic Peninsula outside of Hurricane Ridge with those really large and damaging hailstones, very likely up in the woods, and thankfully not anywhere close to where we had any big towns or cities. Still some locally gusty winds beneath these storms, and the chance for a tornado at this point pretty slim. Still the chance for a little bit of circulation in the atmosphere. This is still that pink zone that is under that severe thunderstorm watch through 9 p.m. Notice it goes all the way into the Willamette Valley, and between Portland and Eugene today, we had high temperatures into record territory well into the 80s. Remember, we were in the 70s ourselves yesterday. So that fueled the chance for these thunderstorms, which would have been just garden variety. We get thunderstorms a lot in the spring, but when you have the heat at the surface, it fuels them into the very extra convective type that we've had on our doorstep tonight. That severe thunderstorm watch continues through King County. Parts of King County have never been under a watch like this. Got the attention of the Severe Prediction Storm Center there, and so that goes through 9 p.m. The chance for the damaging hail, and it looks like we have some of those pockets of lingering big hail on the east side of King County. So here's the initial squall line that came on through, lifting to the north in the last hour or so across the Canadian border via the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The backside of it right now, right on the King-Snohomish County line. And notice how it lost its initial shape. It hit our terrain, and our terrain does amazing things weather-wise around here, including the ability to just really tear through a squall line like this and make it more piecemeal. So that continues to push to the north into parts of Snohomish County now. Remember the tracking software showing that these lightning strikes, and there they go again, we're going to show up around Monroe and Gold Bar as we went into the 8 o'clock hour, and that has come to fruition right on schedule. So again, just in the years and years of being a forecaster here in the Northwest, the advancement of the technology from the models a day or two in advance being able to show you when these storms would come through, to all of the lightning detection software showing us where these thunderstorms landed, to the tracking that we were able to show you when the line was in more of that squall form earlier, to tell you where these storms were going to be. It's really amazing to see how this all comes together now, and we're able to really nowcast as these come through. Downtown Seattle, you're pretty much done. Not out of the question to get a little bit more lightning or some hail in the works tonight with the follow-up showers, but that big heavy line that came through earlier has pushed to the north. Here's what's left of it. Again, it is more piecemeal. It still has a lot of lightning, and that's why when Molly and Preston were taking that camera out of Tulalip, we were able to just watch about 30 seconds and able to see a new lightning strike there. Some of that lightning is still firing up around Long Beach, Camino Island, Stanwood, back in toward Stinson Crossing, Arlington as well, and then all the way back along I-90. Now, this is that cell that is still concerning in terms of its ability to produce some damaging hail. Again, the Weather Service modeling showed us how we were going to have the heaviest of the hail most likely over the higher terrain away from our direct population centers, especially on the east side of King or Pierce County. It looks like that big cell is indeed there just to the south now of Sky-Comish, probably dropping some very large hail. And again, the tracking showing that's what's left of these heavier showers out of Stanwood will continue to march towards Cedar Woolley here by about 8:57. So at the end of this hour, Bellingham at about 9:26, and Ferndale finally the last spot here in western Washington, seeing some of those thunderstorms at 9:39. Not that we're totally through with wet weather. You can see hump tulips and Taholah still picking up some heavy precipitation in the rainforest tonight, off and on hail, thunder, or lightning, all possible as we head into the course of the evening. And up, I just want to show you some of the hail tracks there. This is that really newer software that is able to give you a good estimation of the size of some of the hail that came down. This is not quite as impressive as what we saw during the peak of the storm earlier in the afternoon. Remember, over the Olympic Peninsula, it looked like we had some hailstones right around a quarter size, about an inch, and that would have verified as a severe thunderstorm there, but it looks like some pretty good sized hail there on the east side of King County tonight. So hour by hour forecast, this is for Seattle proper, for our big metro area, the Emerald City. Still showers, some of which will be heavy at times for the next couple of hours, but we've lost our steam. We've lost the 60s. That was the fuel that was bringing these big convective thunderstorms back into western Washington today. That's a wrap now for Seattle, and we'll continue to watch the last of the thunderstorms exit out across the border into BC here within the next hour. And again, damp at times, getting back to normal. A showery evening and early Thursday morning here in western Washington. But Molly and Preston, the bulk of the heavy showers and thunderstorms have come through Seattle and Tacoma, now on their way through Everett and Mukilteo, and eventually dying out by the Canadian border within the next hour or two.
All right, that's good to hear, Shannon. Thank you. We do know about some damage from lightning, and that's that power outage in South Seattle we've been telling you about. KOMO's Ryan Sims is there now. Ryan, what are you learning about it?
Yeah, hey there, Molly. You know, what we learned is that about 800 people currently in the dark tonight. You can still see it in this neighborhood. It's been like this for about an hour, and obviously crews are in this area trying to get the electricity restored, but so far it has not worked, and so we're seeing entire neighborhoods here again in South Seattle in the dark at this time. It is our understanding, again, that instead of it being, you know, an instance what we saw during the bomb cyclone a few months ago where lightning or wind hit a tree and then a tree falls onto the electrical lines. This seems, according to power officials, to be a direct hit from the lightning to the electrical grid itself, which is obviously very unusual. We don't see that in these types of instances. It seems like it's pretty rare. In fact, earlier today, KOMO News reported on people on the east side preparing for these types of scenarios. They were folks who were hit by the bomb cyclone, and they said that they trimmed their trees in anticipation of lightning and anticipation of the wind. And ultimately, while this isn't the east side, it seems like these poor folks in these neighborhoods, they were not victims to the wind or the lightning, but the lightning strike onto the power grid. And so there's no telling of when the power will come back on in these neighborhoods. This is 53rd Street South, again, in South Seattle. We're talking about, again, 800 people in the dark right now. We're going to be monitoring that situation to see if any other more power outages pop up as the storm continues to move through parts of western Washington. But so far, power outages are minimal. This is the main one, 800 people affected. We'll keep monitoring the situation and let you know if we come across any other electrical outages, again, here in our area. Send it back to you.
Okay, Ryan Sims live for us tonight. Stay safe out there, Ryan. We want to take you live out to SeaTac International Airport right now. This is a live look where a ground stop is now in effect.
Right. Ryan had actually been at SeaTac earlier for us and had told us that that was a possibility there, that there could be a ground stop due to the storms. And SeaTac is telling us that that is the case now. No departures are happening right now. They are grounded due to the thunderstorms. They say that the probability of extending this, they put it in the medium range. And if I'm reading this correctly, they expect this to end at 8:45. So we have, just 13 more minutes of a ground stop. No departures taking off from SeaTac right now because of the weather we're experiencing. Obviously, we'll stay on top of this and we'll let you know if they happen to extend it. But at this point, they do not see a need to do that. And as we're looking live in this, maybe an occasional flash of lightning there, but you're seeing it looks like some activity. As far as I can tell, the ground stop is related to departures, so perhaps some planes have been able to land during this period.
Okay, well, we want to thank you for sticking with us through our severe storm coverage here from 6 to 7 on KOMO and from 7 to 8 on KUNS, our ARC Seattle channel, and here for the last 32 minutes here on KOMO YouTube page and KOMOnews.com. We want to invite you to join us again tonight at 10 o'clock for ARC Seattle on KUNS and, of course, KOMO News at 11 o'clock. Thanks so much for being with us. We hope to see you soon.